Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing 5 Minute against a 2072. I'm going to choose this pet line that I've played previously on video before against the C3 Sicilian. So Just Chess, you are the proud recipient of my 2b6 line. Here I'm going to play, should I play e6? Yeah, let's play e6. I'm going to try to undermine his center right away. Or her center. I guess this could be a girl, couldn't it? Jess is like kind of an ambiguous name. So I'm going to play this like a Benoni now, because we've got like a almost characteristic Benoni structure. This is interesting, this early attack on d7. I don't think it's too great. In fact, I think I'm just going to play a6 and then b5. But it is interesting what white is doing here.
Check.
Wow, they just take. Okay. Well, this solves a few problems that black traditionally has in Benoni structures. One of them is getting rid of one set of minor pieces. Because, and I mentioned this before too, in the Benoni, black often suffers from having one too many minor pieces. So like my knights, if I did still have that knight on f6, there would be kind of some clogging going on. They'd be stepping on each other's squares. But that problem has been taken care of now. So I like my position a lot. I think this is a great position for black. I want to attack his e4 pawn. But I also want to stay flexible. I think they're going to play b3 and put the bishop on b2 soon. Let's go b5. And I think... Okay, actually they play a4. Well, now I'm tempted to play c4 and try to stick this knight on c5. I think that would be a nice aggressive way to play it. Let's do that. He plays b3, but in this case I have c3 to really try to stuff their position. And I can play pawn b4 to support that pawn further. Let's do that. Now I'm still going to go knight c5. At least that's the plan for now. Knight e5 also makes sense, but knight c5 I think I like even more. I attack this. Probably they'll play knight g3 to defend it. Plays rook e1 instead. Okay. Queen f6 comes to mind. Just queen d7 comes to mind. a5 also looks pretty good. Let's go a5. Well, that just hangs a knight, doesn't it? I was going to go bishop a6 and put the bishop on d3. Yeah, he just flat out hung a knight. Okay, not white's best game. But let's just talk a little bit about why that transformation was favorable to black. So this is a system I've advocated before. I think it's a good blitz weapon, if anything. And it's interesting to play in longer time control games too. I have done that before. But it gets white out of book most of the time because C3 Sicilian players, they're very much expecting you to play either knight f6 or d5 in this position because that's what black mostly plays. And those are the two best moves, quite honestly. But b6 leads to interesting positions too. And the key thing, as I've explained before, is that you don't take the pawn on d4 yet. If you take the pawn on d4 now, you ruin the entire setup for black. Because after takes and then bishop b7, white can seamlessly play knight c3 and defend the pawn on e4. We don't want that. We want to play bishop b7 right now when they don't have the c3 square available for the knight. It's blocked by their c-pawn. That's one drawback to the c3 Sicilian. I don't rate this d5 move very highly for white, although I have seen it played. I think bishop d3 or knight d2 are better ways of going about this position. Because I think here we kind of morph into like a Benoni type position where this knight is misplaced. White's already made a lot of pawn moves. I've done some weird stuff too, like the bishop doesn't usually end up here in the Benoni. But on the whole, I would be fine playing black in this position.
Check.
So bishop e5, probably not the greatest idea here. It helps my development. And unless he was really planning to take, or maybe play a4. a4 wouldn't be a bad idea here because after a6 he could drop his bishop back. But unless he was planning something like that, I don't think bishop b5 check is constructive. Queen a4, it's optimistic. He's not going to get too much. I thought he was going to play bishop c6 in this position, and I was ready to play b5 and attack the queen. And anticipating maybe something like, let's say, queen c2, take. Maybe knight b6. I might even be able to play knight b8 and just try to win this pawn quick. But that's what I was anticipating he would do. Instead, he took on d7. And this just relieves a lot of the congestion in black's position. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, he had gone back instead, and something like this happens. Black still has a very nice position, but because I'm at a disadvantage in the center with the space, I think it might be a little harder for me. And these knights take away each other's squares. They're superfluous knights. The d7 knight especially. So I think that capture on d7 just helps me unwind, helps me relieve the congestion. Now I don't have to worry about this bishop being blocked by a knight on f6. And I've got the bishop pair in the process. I think this is a pretty nice position for black. I'd say at least a half pawn advantage here. Yeah, computer loves this position for black. It's very easy to play too. See, the engine's already suggesting some pretty aggressive plans, like trying to shake his pawn structure in the center. I was happy with rook e8. b5. Yeah, I thought he should play b3. That's probably the only decent way of playing the position. To attempt to go bishop b2 as soon as possible. Because that might neutralize my bishop pair edge and maybe leads to a more normal position. Also stops me from playing c4. But he ignored that plan. And I think after c4, he's in trouble. Because this knight coming to c5, this is just a gorgeous square for the knight. It attacks e4. I'll have chances to come in d3 or b3. So I think his position is already kind of dire at this point. b4. Now the c3 pawn is a constant annoyance. And he should play knight g3 here and defend the pawn on e4. Or did he play that? No, he didn't. He did rook e1, that's right. And then I played a5. I was thinking that popping my bishop out to a6 would be good to introduce that idea. And he'll probably go rook bd1 in response to that plan. But still, a5 is a nice move. Defends the pawn on b4 once more, too. I could foresee down the line there being sacrificial opportunities on the b or the a pawn in order to gain 2 dangerous passers or more on the queen side. So, yeah, and then he blundered knight d4, but still. Let's see, if knight g3, what would I have done? I probably would have played the bishop a6 move as planned, and then here. And now I'd have to come up with something. I mean, a simple plan would be something like queen c7, and then try to double rooks on the e-file, and really hammer that pawn. I might be able to consider something more audacious too, like maybe f5. Maybe. I don't know. That could get really sharp though. I was thinking if take and then take.
Check.
If he takes with the rook, I can get into d3 with my bishop. But he might take with the knight. Even this is probably pretty good for black, like maybe a move like that. I've got a lot of activity. But no, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't have done that. I would have played some calmer move like queen c7. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that one. Quick c3 Sicilian game. And if you have any comments about this, feel free to leave it in the comments window. Thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later.